To our talking point here on India at 9, conversion politics, are netas playing with fire? Joining us on the panel tonight, Sudhanshu Mittal is a senior leader of the BJP. Dr. C.B. Sharma is Professor of Education at the Indira Gandhi National Open University. Syed Azim Wakar is a leader of the Samajwadi Party, and Sharat Pradhan is a senior journalist. But I want to start first with you, Sudhanshu Mittal. It's quite stark and quite ironic that this whole issue got raised in Parliament on a day when the Prime Minister was sharing the stage with Vladimir Putin, talking about India going global, talking about India becoming a superpower. I mean, the Prime Minister talks about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Is this what Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas is? Forced conversions, lured conversions, induced conversions?
I am so happy that this debate has surfaced. You know, to disturb the communal harmony of this country, there are four elements. One is the ownership and property of religious places. Second is conversion. Third is processions, religious processions, and fourth is inter-religion marriages. And these are broadly the four elements which disturb the social fabric and the peace and tranquility in the society. Now, for far too long, this issue of allurement and forced conversion has been there, but deliberately people have chosen to turn a blind eye. For the simple reason that it was always the minorities which were accused of doing and having practiced this. This is probably the first time when the majority community is being targeted on this. My issue is simple. There seems to be unanimity that forced conversion through allurement or through threat is not something which should be permissible in any civilized society.
But in this case, it was a lured conversion. Let me quote Ismail Khan, who's the Pradhan of these 57 families who got converted. He said, all of us live here in kacha houses and pick rags for a living. We came here and settled 12 years ago from Bihar and Bengal. 15 days ago, a man from the locality came to me and asked me if we had ration cards, to which I replied in the affirmative. Then he said if we had BPL cards. When I said no, he would arrange it for us. Obviously, they're being lured into this in the name of BPL cards.
Agreed, Mr. Jacob. The entire argument is that the conversion took place through allurement, and this is bad. The issue is, if this is bad, under what law? Unfortunately, we have been demanding the enactment of a law which prohibits conversion on allurement or force or threat. But it has always been opposed.
But you condemn this specific instance. You condemn this specific instance.
Please, we will be taking a shortcut and we will not be doing justice to this very grave issue.
It's a very simple, straightforward question. Do you condemn this incident or do you not?
Simple is that any conversion which takes place out of allurement, forcible threats or otherwise, is condemnable.
And by implication, if this were forced, Sudhanshu Mittal, you condemn this as well. Okay, I want to bring in Mr. Wakar.
There can't be a debate on that.
I come to Mr. Wakar from the Samajwadi Party. The point that Mr. saying was that a few years ago, when the BJP was crying foul about conversions by evangelical Christians or by conversions through the madrasas in the case of Muslims, then all the secular parties ganged up and said, look, we can't have an anti-conversion law in this country. Now, when the other side is happening, when the conversions are happening the other way, or ghar wapsi, as some folks are calling this, why are you crying foul? Why are you now saying that there should be a law against forcible conversion in this country? That's double standards, isn't it?
देखिए, वी आर नॉट क्राइंग. मैं आपके चैनल के माध्यम से एक बात कहना चाहता हूं सुधांशु मित्तल जी को कि जब ये झारखंड और कश्मीर जाते हैं तो वहां विकास का चेहरा दिखाते हैं, विकास की बात करते हैं, और जब उत्तर प्रदेश आते हैं तो लव जिहाद करते हैं, रामजादे हरामजादे की बात करते हैं. पहले तो ये अपना स्टैंड क्लियर करें कि ये चाहते क्या है उत्तर प्रदेश में. ये हिंदुस्तान में एक गृह युद्ध छेड़ने की तैयारी कर रहे हैं. माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने बहुत सख्त आदेश दिए हैं. सभी डीएम्स को निर्देशित किया गया है कि इस तरह की जितनी वारदात की अंजाम देने की लोग कोशिश कर रहे हैं उस पर नजर रखी जाए, उनके खिलाफ रिपोर्ट्स लिखी जाए और उनको गिरफ्तार किया जाए.
नहीं, वकार साहब, आप मेरे प्रश्न का उत्तर दे दीजिए ना.
मैं इनकी बात का जवाब
आप मेरे प्रश्न का उत्तर दे दीजिए. Are you for or against an anti-conversion
आपके-
law? मैं बस इतना पूछ रहा हूँ
नहीं, मैं आपको जवाब दे रहा हूं, मैं आपको जवाब दे रहा हूं। देखिए, जितने भी लॉस थे जब हिंदुस्तान आजाद हुआ, तो उस वक्त कई बार, चाहे वो आर्टिकल 25 हो, चाहे आर्टिकल 26 हो, चाहे शरीयत एप्लीकेशन एक्ट 1936 हो, कई बार बहस होने के बाद ये कानून बना दिए गए हैं। और मैं समझता हूं कि किसी भी कानून में ये बात नहीं कही जाती है कि आप किसी को धमकाकर, डराकर या लालच देकर आप उसका कन्वर्जन करा लें।
तो ये एंटी अगर ये एंटी कन्वर्जन बाय फोर्स लॉ अगर सरकार कल लेके आएगी तो आप सपोर्ट करेंगे, लोकसभा में सपोर्ट करेंगे? वेंकैया नायडू जी ने आज पार्लियामेंट में कहा कि वी वांट अ नेशनल डिबेट ऑन दिस, वी आर फॉर अ नेशनल लॉ अगेंस्ट फोर्सेबल कन्वर्जन। तो अगर कल पार्लियामेंट में ये मुद्दा उठेगी तो आपके पार्टी सपोर्ट करेगा उसको?
देखिए, माननीय नेताजी पार्लियामेंट में खुद मौजूद रहते हैं और उनको बेहतर पता है कि उन्हें क्या करना है। वो हमसे और आपसे ज्यादा काबिल आदमी हैं। उनको किसी को ना सिखाने की जरूरत है ना बताने की जरूरत है, वो बेहतर कर लेंगे।
मैं ये भी बता दूं,
प्रोफेसर साहब जो कर रहे हैं कर लेंगे। लेकिन मैं आपसे एक बात कह दूं, भारतीय जनता पार्टी उत्तर प्रदेश को आग में झोंकने की तैयारी कर रही है और माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ऐसा होने नहीं देंगे। भारतीय जनता पार्टी
मैं वो पॉलिटिक्स मैं वो राजनीति के बात में I'll get to the politics bit in just a moment, because since he mentioned Netaji and since he mentioned Mulayam Singh, this is what Mulayam Singh said today in Parliament at 12:15 p.m. He started off by saying, this is a very serious issue. This can have serious implications in the country. I want to warn that a few parties want to do riots. By 4:21 p.m., he said, there is no impact of these forcible conversions in Agra or in nearby areas. I don't know why there is a debate in Delhi. This is an unnecessary debate. This debate should not backfire. तो मतलब नेताजी ये बात भी बोलते हैं और वो बात भी बोलते हैं। I mean, he has to make up his mind कि उन्हें डिबेट चाहिए या नहीं चाहिए, उन्हें कानून चाहिए या नहीं चाहिए।
मेरी अड्डा मेरे घर वालों का।
मैं जवाब दे रहा हूं आपको।
हाँ जी, वकार साहब बताइए।
मैं आपको जवाब दे रहा हूं।
हाँ,
देखिए, जब आप लोग इतनी बड़ी वारदात के बाद ये कहते हैं कि यहाँ की कानून व्यवस्था का जो जिम्मेदारी है वो उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार की है, तो मैं एक बहुत छोटी सी बात कह दूंगा, बहुत आराम से आप लोग को समझ में आएगी कि 4-6 लोग हिंदुस्तान आते हैं, यहां पर बम विस्फोट करते हैं, बंदूक चलाते हैं, तो क्या यह कहा जाएगा कि हमारे बॉम्बे की कानून व्यवस्था खराब थी? हम तो इल्जाम उसको देंगे जिसने हमारे यहाँ आके आग लगाई है। उत्तर प्रदेश में लोग आने के बाद अगर कानून व्यवस्था हाथ में लेते हैं और उसको रोका जाता है और उसको कंट्रोल किया जाता है, तो उत्तर प्रदेश की कानून व्यवस्था बहुत बेहतर है।
I don't think terrorism. No. That's a wrong anecdote. I'm sorry. That's a wrong anecdote. I don't think 2611 and the issue of forcible conversions can be put on the same plate. I think that's completely wrong. If for nothing else, but it does disservice to the people who lost their lives. It does disservice to the families of those who lost their lives. But Sharad Pradhan, the fact is that the BJP and the Samajwadi Party are in cahoots with this, because the two political parties that benefit because of communal polarization are the Samajwadi Party and the BJP, and they're all gearing up to 2017 in Uttar Pradesh. Is that what the heart of this issue is really?
Well, I fully agree with you. When Modi took off during the election campaign, it seemed that he was putting up a secular face. He never talked of he never gave any communal undertones or overtones. So, which is why he got the mandate, the kind of mandate that he got, because a lot of secular Hindus voted for him. But over these past few months, ever since they have been in power, the manner in which the different BJP leaders have been making statements, have been indulging in this kind of communal activity, as has been witnessed in Agra now, it reflects that there is some design. And the way Mr. Mulayam Singh Yadav reacted in the parliament today, we're giving a very washy-washy statement and claiming that all was well in Uttar Pradesh, also shows, I would fully agree with this, what you suspect, that there is some kind of unwritten understanding between the two, because it suits both of them. While Mulayam Singh Yadav's party thrives on Muslim polarization, which is what they are looking up to for the revival of the party, which has suffered tremendously badly in the past 2 years that the government that they've been in power in UP. And likewise, and they're taking the cue from the BJP, which is what they did in the recent state assembly by-elections.
Okay.
Where
Sudhanshu
BJP
Mittal, I
lost
want to respond. I want you to
because
respond to both
Hindutva
those points.
feature.
Yeah, Sharad, let Sudhanshu Mittal respond to both those points. The first one being that this is not an incident in isolation. This is coming on the back of what happened to Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti. We had Sushma Swaraj wanting to make the Bhagavad Gita a national holy book. And the Prime Minister, though he's made statements about this in Parliament, doesn't come across in the manner in which he came across in the campaign, where he said, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Why is the Prime Minister going soft on this right-wing fringe of his party?
Mr. Jacob, I think
And the name is Zaka, by the way. You can call me that. Mr. Jacob is my father.
Okay. Zaka, I think you being very uncharitable to the Prime Minister. See, in no uncertain words, he condemned the statement of Sadhvi Niranjana and said, we do not subscribe to the statement. And he made her apologize. So saying that he's coming soft on this, I don't think is right. Now let me address the core issue. What is the core issue? I just heard a very eloquent argument by Sharad ji of how communal politics suits us. Sharad ji, you were charitable to say that during the Lok Sabha, we did not subscribe to communal politics, we practiced secular politics, and look how successful were we. Do you think you understand it and we don't understand it? We also understand that communal politics does not suit us, so we do not practice it.
So then why are we seeing, Mr. Mittal, why are we then seeing rising instances of communal polarization, communal incidents in Uttar Pradesh, and people like Yogi Adityanath are now making a statement that he's going to have a mass Ghar Wapsi on Christmas Day in Aligarh? And yet we don't see any of the big leaders of the BJP condemn that statement. And this by no means, Mr. Mittal, this is a sitting MP. This is a sitting MP of the BJP.
Mr. Zaka,
not some two-bit politician.
Mr. Zaka, your own constitution permits him that. You want to deprive him of his constitutional right.
Permits him
Article
what?
25 is what you just allow me. Just allow me. Let me finish my argument.
Yeah.
You just now read out Article 25, which says that anybody who wants to convert has a right to convert. The only restriction is public order. The restriction is that public health should not, or morality. There is unanimity that any conversion out of allurement or through force is not to be practiced. Has he said, I will forcibly convert? Has he said that I will allure them to convert? No.
So, are you saying that he's doing this out of charitable reasons, philanthropic reasons, very altruistic reasons? The fact that he chose Aligarh, the fact that he chose... I gave you enough time, didn't I? The fact that he chose Aligarh, the fact that he chose Christmas Day is all very altruistic, isn't it?
Let me just finish my argument. You see, word over, it is the minorities which seek an anti-conversion law because they fear that the majority, out of their sheer brute strength, will make them extinct. India ironically has a situation where the majority has been demanding an anti-conversion law which prohibits conversion out of force or by allurement, and everybody, including the minorities, have been opposing it.
Okay.
Now here is one instance where we are saying, let us bring a law. It's not a law for the Hindus, it's a law for every citizen of this country.
Fair enough. I think I've given you more than adequate airtime. Let me go to Dr. C.B. Sharma, Professor of Education at the Indira Gandhi National Open University. There is an argument that says that if you go back to the Vedas, if you go back to the ancient times, Hinduism as a way of life, there was no conversion into or out of Hinduism. It only started when the Arya Samaj became popular and cut through Hindu society. The reform movement happened within Hindu society. And now, of course, the RSS and its offshoots are indulging in what they call Ghar Wapsi. What is as an educationist, as a historian, what is the position? Was there any form of conversion or converting into or out of Hinduism as we know it in the ancient times, as we know it as it was practiced as a way, as a philosophy, as a way of life?
Thank you very much, Jakhar. I think you have hit the bullseye. In Hinduism, there is nothing like converting. Hinduism incorporates all faiths, and if you look at Hinduism itself, you have Shaivites, you have Vaishnavites, you have Krishnites, which groups are opposed to each other. Meet a Krishnite and he would be opposed to the praying of Shiva. meet a Shaivite and he would or she would be opposed to another faith. So Hinduism is actually amalgamation or coexistence of many different faiths, and Hinduism never proposes or forces or even propagates change of religion or change of faith. Whoever wants to practice whatever can do that and still be a Hindu.
So how then do you explain
Now,
this
I have a
whole
different
Ghar Wapsi and this whole coming back to Hinduism? I mean, is that merely done for political ends?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I'm surprised that there is so much hullabaloo about this whole incident at Agra. Read the literature in the past 5, 7, 10 years. And it has been reported time and again. Read Mark Tully's No Full Stops in India. Read Christopher Jeffrey Lott's book, Hinduism, a Reader. And they have all reported how people have converted out of Hinduism and back to Hinduism. In recent past, there has been lot of conversion to Hinduism. Don't forget the reason behind conversion. Those who were not given good place or respect in Hinduism, they converted. And some of the groups which were very well off, but then under pressure from the ruling party or the government, like when the Islam came, they forced the Thakurs to convert. A lot of Thakurs converted, and then they came back. A lot of Dalits converted into Christianity because they were poorest of the poor and they were not given the due place in Hinduism. Now, when they were not given due place in Christianity as well, Mark Tully reports that
some of
Dalits
them
have
have
to
come
go
back.
to a different church.
Yeah, some of them have come back.
Because they thought they will get equal position in Christianity. Christianity said all are equal before God, but they did not get that.
So Sudhanshu Mittal, you want to respond to that, you know, no matter what the right-wing fringe does, in fact, you're better off doing nothing, because there is a huge chunk of people who are going to, whether it's Christianity or to Islam, and coming back because they realize that it's not all rosy, it's not all hunky-dory in those religions anyway. So by doing what the right-wing fringe is doing, you're actually only making your case worse.
No. I don't think so. You see, everybody has a right to religion. Practicing his own religion, it's a very fundamental right, and it's his choice.
Nobody's disputing that.
As I said, the issue comes only when... Yeah, nobody is disputing it. In fact, nobody is also disputing that if there is conversion out of force or allurement, it should not be permitted. Nobody is disputing that. Have you come across somebody who's endorsing it? No. Yet, when it comes to enactment in an act, for such a purpose, you will find different voices. See, this nation must be governed by very strict laws about how our social conduct has to be. Certainly, in a civilized society, allurement and threat cannot be permissible for conversion of religion.
But I think
that's all what is the case.
Mr. Mittal, I think the point that the professor was making was, you know, there are certain states, and in this country, BJP rules states where there are anti-conversion laws, but it's not so much the law that's making some of the people who went away from Hinduism to come back to Hinduism. It is the fact that they've been disillusioned with whichever religion that they went to in the first place.
No.
Why don't you answer that point?
No. I don't think Professor has very deep, and allow me to finish. I don't think the Professor has very deep understanding of what is happening in places like Meghalaya, in places like Mizoram, in Kerala, in Tamil Nadu, in so many areas. It's a very simplistic explanation, and as far as Hinduism is concerned,
I think you should give him a chance to respond to that, Mr. Mittal, since you raised his knowledge and his expertise. I think it's fair enough that we give him a chance to respond. Professor, you want to respond to that? Professor Sharma, I'll come back to you, Mr. Mittal. Give me 30 seconds for him to respond. Mr. Sharma, you want to respond to that?
Jakar, I had made only half the point. I am quite aware of what is happening in Northeast, and I have mentioned, and I wanted to mention again that look, why do political parties not agree on a common law? This has been happening, and the whole history of India is replete with such instances. Look at the authority or the power given to the church to establish schools. This was debated in 1831 in the British Parliament, and the church was given the permission to establish schools only on the condition that they would spread the word of the God. And why did the governments in the past not stop conversion in the Northeast? And why do political parties not agree on no conversion law because I believe political parties have not been honest.
Okay.
If we are in a democracy, we can have one law.
Let me bring in Sharad Pradhan into this, and then Sudhanshu Mittal, I'll give you a chance to respond. Sharad Pradhan, I mean, talking about the politics, it also talking about the politics.
I would like to draw Mr. Mittal's attention.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, he is talking of progressive countries where he is saying that there are such laws. He should think about those progressive countries where boundaries are being questioned now. They don't want geographical boundaries, they don't want religious boundaries. Why do you want to bind India of 2014 in these religious boundaries? Why can't you give them freedom to opt for any religion?
So what are you talking? You know what you're talking?
Let me complete. I have heard you enough. I have heard you enough. Please let me complete. You are talking of the Northeast and Ghar Wapsi. Let me tell you, Ghar Wapsi, why talk of 200 years? Why not talk of 5,000 years when there were no religions? People were converted, they opted for Hinduism, whatever religion there was there on the land on where they lived, because they were an uncivilized society. The leaders of those times brought them under a religious framework.
Call India an uncivilized society,
which is what the people did in the Northeast.
The country which produced
Christian missionaries went to
one person talk, please. One person talk. Let Sharad finish his point. Let Sharad finish his point, and then everybody else.
Because there were cannibals there. They were cannibals. They converted them into human beings. And if by converting them into human beings, because they were Christians, they were the only ones who went there, who ventured into there. Why didn't the RSS go there?
Sir, can you understand what is being talked?
And convert them into Hinduism. They were not.
Sharadji, do you know what
Hinduism, they were not converted. They were not.
Please don't make such
They
an
didn't belong
argument.
to any religion.
Please
So
don't
that-
make such an
What are we
argument.
discussing, sir?
Okay.
Sir, what are we discussing?
What are you talking?
Unfortunate part is, what are we
What are we
discussing?
talking? Yeah.
We are discussing, let's talk what we are talking. We are talking about an incident, and we are talking about the fallout of the incidents. I do not know what
No,
Mr.
we
Sharadji
are
is
talking
talking.
of larger issues.
Allow me
You
to
are
finish.
trying
Sir,
to-
allow me
you
to
are
finish
trying
now.
to
No
spread
idea of what
communalism.
Sir,
India
you have said, now allow me to finish.
Sharad, let him finish. Sharad, let him finish. Mr. Mittal, finish your point.
Let me finish. The proposition is simple. This civilized society of India does not endorse any conversion, whether it is in Hinduism or out of Hinduism. It does not endorse any conversion which is out of allurement or by force. And so is the case with Sikhs, so is the case with Islam, so is the case with Parsis, so is the case with Christians. If there is unanimity about it,
But-
all what is said is,
But
let us not spread communal disharmony.
No, one sec. You will assure minorities who are watching this program, Mr. Mittal, that tomorrow if a law were to come on anti-conversion by force, that will not be used as an instrument by the state to persecute them. That assurance you will give?
No, but
let him say that. Let him say that.
इनको अगर आप
So
दुआ
that- so
बोल
that-
देंगे,
so
why
that-
should
तो ये जहर
allow
बोल
me,
देंगे फिजाओं में।
why should the minorities fear that if they are not converting people out of force or allurement? I don't think anybody who's a law-abiding citizen of this country has reasons to fear that they will be persecuted. You see, you have to understand, even the majority or the minority, none should fear if they are following the law of land.
Okay.
All what is being said is, let us enact the law of land which does not permit such forced or allured conversion.
I want to get final comments. I want to get final comments. I think, Mr. Mittal, you made your point.
Sanity.
I want to get final comments from Mr. Waqar that it comes back to whether tomorrow,
Yeah.
and this is what the Urban Development Minister and the Parliamentary Affairs Minister Venkaiah Naidu said in Parliament today, that they're willing to bring a national law against forcible conversion. If that comes, what is going to be the position of the Samajwadi Party? Simple question.
समाजवादी पार्टी कभी भी आपने देखा होगा कि वो संविधान का पालन करती है, चाहे वो किसी भी स्थिति में हो। समाजवादी पार्टी की तरफ से मैं एक बात और कह दूं कि आपने सुना होगा कि जिस तरह से डरा कर धमका कर कि कई बार ऐसा आता है कि तुम लोग को बांग्लादेशी कह दिया जाएगा, ये कह दिया जाएगा, वो कह दिया जाएगा। तो उत्तर प्रदेश में पूरे हिंदुस्तान से कोई भी आकर यहां रह सकता है, अपना काम कर सकता है। वो माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी और समाजवादी पार्टी की जो सरकार चल रही है उसकी हिफाजत में है। अगर कोई भी किसी तरह से कोई कानून तोड़ता है या कानून हाथ में लेता है या ऐसे लोगों को डराता धमकाता है, तो उनको बहुत सख्त और करारा जवाब दिया जाएगा।
Okay, I guess we'll have to leave it at that. We will see this. I'm sure this is not the end
And
of this
the Congress.
issue. No. We'll have to end
Can
it
I-
there.
can I
We'll have
make
to end
a
it there.
last-
Time
can
out.
I-
Time out. Thank you very much.
Let's
Thank you very
give them
much,
your-
gentlemen. Mr. Mittal, Mr. Vakar, Mr. Professor Sharma, and Sharat Pradhan there joining us on this panel. And like I said, this issue is certainly not going to die down in Parliament. The opposition, all parties combined, walking out today from the Lok Sabha, trying to raise the temperature on this whole rising instances of communal tension in the country, as well as these statements attributed to fringe elements. And now, of course, the latest incident that happened in Agra, the question of forced conversion. We'll keep a tab on how that story plays out, both in Parliament and outside, here on CNN IBN. We're going to take